Hi there, this is Jacqueline with Nickel and Dime Decor, and as the title to this video says, we're going to see how to make a baby quilt without a pattern. I have a pattern of sorts. I mean, I have what I want to make, but a friend of mine gave me this quilt top. And I am hand quilting it, and I'm about 3/4 of a way through, and it's for a little cowboy, and it's just as cute as it can be. Well, I have a friend, her name is Deborah Smith, and Deborah's always buying baby quilts when she has one that she needs for a gift. And she said, I need one, but I need it for a cowgirl. Well, this wouldn't work, but she likes the principle of it. So I don't have a pattern, so I'm going to try to figure out the pattern. And, you know, you can adapt this if you find a little quilt top that you like too, and you want to make one and you don't have the pattern, then you'll know how to do it. I've measured each and every one of my squares and blocks, and these were 4 1/4, the small ones, and there's 12 of them. These are 9 1/4 by 4 1/4. Well, after much working and dividing and trying to figure it all out, I came up that these need to be 5 1/4 to add an inch. And you say, well, why add an inch? You have 1/4 of a seam allowance over here, 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 and here. So to duplicate this, we need to make it an inch. Cut the square an inch bigger. So I'm going to make these 5 1/4 inch squares. I need 12 of them, and I'm going to have 3 colors. These I'm going to make 11 inches. There's a reason for that. While I'm making these, I'm not making it quite like she did. She just put strips down in between, sashing in between. But I saw on Nancy Zeman's show one time how to make a block and put the sashing on while you're making the block. And I want to try it that way. So when you put the sashing on, it's going to, and then you put the piece at the bottom. That's why you have to have this bigger to allow for that piece of sashing that's going to be at the bottom. So, 11 by 5 1/4. You want your rectangle sizes to be the same width as the little ones, but you just want that for continuity, as the word goes. Now these little strips in between, I'm going to cut them 1 1/2 inches. And for the small squares, I will need them to go across, so I will need them 5 1/4. One for the top, well, no, not for the top. One for the bottom and one for the left-hand side. If you stop and think, if you have one at the top and one at the left-hand side, when you add your next piece, it'll have the top, so that'll be this side. See what I'm saying? And it'll have it down at the bottom. And then for the long piece of sashing that goes here is 12 by 12 by your 1.5 inch strip. All of my strips are going to be 1.5 inches. Now, I'm going to show you what I have come up with for my color scheme. Deborah ordered this Cowgirl fabric from a place out of Montana, not Montana, Missouri, I think. And it was called Sit and Sew Fabrics. I have never heard of it before, but this is one of the best pieces of fabric I have ever seen. I love the feel of it. And here's the little cowgirls. Aren't they darling? And this is I already cut out my big rectangle. Now, on the little cowgirls, her little hat, she has a teal hat and a red hat and a yellow hat and boots to match, and her little shirts match. So I thought I would draw out these colors, the teal, the red, and well, and I have mine's not yellow, it's kind of just a tan. But that's and I'm gonna make my rectangles, these big pieces, are all gonna be this, because they loved this fabric the most, and that's what they want most predominant. So that's gonna be my big rectangles. Now, and you know, it's hard to find reds that don't clash, but this works pretty good. It's kind of an ombre, that's what I would call it. It's variegated, whatever. And it goes with it real nice, I think. See, the lighter in it is exactly that color. So that's going to be for my little 5¼ inch squares. Then I chose this neutral. It's a tan, I guess you would say. And I picked it out to bring out the horses, the color of the horses. So that's going to be for the small squares. And then I went kind of off the wall and got this teal, and it has stars in it. And the background on here is stars. So, and it's the teal of one of her hats. So that right there is the makings of my little cowgirl quilt. And a friend brought over some fabric the other day. She doesn't quilt anymore. And she brought me a sack full of goodies. And you know how thrilled I am over that. And this was in there. And this is going to be my backing. And it's flannel. And it feels so good. So I had everything all ready to go. Now my sashing I already put up, but I have a piece I'm going to show you. I already went ahead and made one block so I could show you what this is really going to look like. So these are all of my pieces. And you know, for my backing, this had a little bit of black in it, and I thought about using the black like it was on here, but this red I just didn't think it would work with that black sashing. So I went in a different direction. Now, this is going to be, it's kind of approximately, mine's going to probably vary, but this one is 44 by 33.5, 44 length and 33.5. And I hope to get it pretty close to that. But that is really, really close, really close to a crib size batting. So if you want to take the chance, a crib size, excuse me, is 45 inches by 60. It would work the length well, and it would work, you could turn it, yes. You could turn it so that the 60 is this way, and then sideways your 33.5 will fit. So a crib size is all you need. I'm going to have to change that on my pattern because I had put you'd probably have to buy a twin, but you don't. Now, I made a picture, a copy of this pattern that I wrote out. And it's going to be at the end of the video. And when it comes up, take a picture of it if you want to make one. And remember, it says on the picture, twin size batting, but you only need the crib. Okay? I consider this is a block right here. One big rectangle and the two small. That is your block, okay? And there are going to just be 2 across and 3 down. And your borders are, approximately 4.5 inches. If you don't want to make them that wide, you don't have to. You're making it, you do whatever you want. And when I get there, I'll decide. I don't have a length yet, and I wouldn't cut it yet until I get the center of the quilt done, because then you can measure and cut the length of your sides. You want to put your top and bottom on first. Now, notice that she put the sides on first. I don't guess there's any set rule. I put the sides on first and then put the top and the bottom. And you can't do that until you get this all finished, and then you measure and measure twice. And then that's how you determine. Then there's another border on the outside. And I haven't decided if I'm going to do that, because mine might not be this. It won't be probably a stripe. I don't know what my border is going to be, but I think I'm just going to have like that and put my binding on it. I don't know. That black really does set it off though, doesn't it? But I wouldn't, like I said, I'm not using black. And then for this one, I put this red bandana on the back. Now, the person that I made this for has not had a baby yet. She's my daughter-in-law's little daughter, and we're still hoping and praying for her, and this is hers whenever she's ready. Now, I'll show you my first block. I think it just turned out so good, and it happens to be a 12 by 12 inch block. And there's my sashing, which is a lot different and a lot lighter, but I felt like that's what I needed to use. And I think it's going to bring the horses out. And see let's just say this is my first block. And then the next block will start with the sashing and the rectangle. And then over on my 2 small squares, I'll use probably a red for sure. I'll use the red and the tan will be for the next block up against. You just put that sashing and that See, when you have this, you're sewing up 1 inch, 1/4 of an inch with your sashing, and it makes it perfect. It will just fit perfect. And then your 2 little squares here with the sashing in between. I think it's just going to be darling. Now, she wants a label on it with little Toot's name, and I think her name is Addison. And Addison's mom and daddy are cattle people, which is very common in Texas, and that they have a ranch and work with cattle. And so that's why I didn't want to make it real feminine. Addison will probably be riding a horse by the time she's 3 years old. And that's why I picked what I picked to work. And that's how you do your pattern. Don't ever, you know, if you see one, if it's blocks and squares and rectangles, that's easy to duplicate. And when I was working on trying to get this one the right size, I thought, well, now use common sense, girl. And that's using the old noggin. But if you follow my pattern here, I think it's going to be pretty much foolproof. And remember, when you cut out your backing, to cut it out at least 2 inches larger all the way around. That's just that when you are doing your quilting, it just gathers it up some, and you need to do that. Give yourself plenty of room. And on your crib size batting, you'll have plenty of extra on the sides too, so don't need to worry about that. And that's about it. Now I'm going to cut all this out, and I'm going to start making more blocks. And I'm going to put it together in our next video. We'll see how it's coming along. Thank you for watching me. And I hope you're well. And I hope life is good to you. Life can be pretty cruel sometimes, but I hope that everything's going well for you. Thank you so much, and God bless. Bye.